Hey soldiers, we got big news that came out of last week's meeting of the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Look, that list has expanded. We're going to go over that. We've got 3 big items that came out of that meeting that you are really going to need to understand in order to connect the dots on how the US dollar and Western economic supremacy is being relegated to shared status as we move further into the 21st century toward the 2030s. Now, this has definite ramifications for your wallet. You know that it does, because as the US dollar loses its hegemony or its supremacy as the lone world reserve currency, or the most prominent one, right? And we see that status more so declining than we see another currency necessarily taking its place. This will result necessarily in tax increases and inflation here in the United States of America. But this last thing I've got to tell you that happened over at the BRICS meeting is so incredible that you're going to want to stick around and hear this entire thing. So let's go. First things first, and we're going to go through these in order of what I believe to be in their importance. Okay. First things first, the BRICS have decided for sure, and they've enunciated this, that their intention is to challenge the dollar. And one of the ways that they're going to do that is to abandon the dollar for trade settlements between BRICS aligned nations. All right. The United States dollar, as we know, has been losing influence over the global markets owing to the worsening foreign relations between countries such as the BRICS, those included in the BRICS. One of the biggest decisions seems to be coming from the Eastern Hemisphere, which could have a long-lasting bearish impact on the US dollar, but could allow for a better future for, things like cryptocurrencies. Listen, guys, a lot of people that I talk to about this say, oh, those countries like China and India, those are developing economies, small players. What they tend to leave out is that these are cultures that have persisted for thousands of years. And there were points in the history of humanity, in global society, where these nations or these regions had much more economic dominance than they do today. It's shifted to the West. I don't know what makes people believe that it can't shift back. Now, will that happen tomorrow? Will it happen in our lifetimes? I don't know, but it is possible. BRICS, the bloc representing some of the biggest emerging economies in the world, we went over them: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is looking to abandon the use of the dollar, the US dollar, for trade settlements completely. Earlier this week, at the meeting, which he participated in remotely, Vladimir Putin stated the same publicly and even called for a new currency to conduct trade in. So one of the things they want to do is say, look, we can ditch the dollar for trade between ourselves. A lot of them do business with China because China is a huge, humongous trade partner with almost everybody, right? So they're saying, why can't I pay for what I want from China in something other than the dollar? Why don't we strengthen our own currencies by just dealing with each other in a mode outside the dollar? What Vladimir Putin said with respect to that was followed by the bloc announcing the addition of 6 new countries from the dozens of applications it has received. Now, this is where we get into point 2. Like I said, 3 important things happen. That third one is really going to say, oh, wait a minute, these guys are very serious. Now, point number 2 was the addition of some new members. The countries that joined the BRICS include Iran, Argentina, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Saudi Arabia. Now, let me tell you what is really significant about a few of these. with the addition of some of these new entrants, it means that the BRICS countries have corralled 5 of the top 10 oil producers in the world. The top 10 oil producers in order of production are as follows: Saudi Arabia, Russia, the United States, China, Iran, Canada, Kuwait, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, and Brazil. So there you have it. We have quite a few oil producers that are now in that mix. In fact, guys, if we take a look at this, they're actually, I miscounted, 6 of the top 10, because Iran is a new member. So 6 of the top 10 oil producers in the world are now in the BRICS alliance. Why is this important? Well, because if they decide what they want to do is back that currency by tangible commodities such as gold, wheat, or oil, then they've got the players to do it. All right? Really doesn't matter if the United States is the second most, production worthy country here, because our policy, third rather, our policy is that even though we produce more, than China, less than Saudi Arabia and Russia, we don't want to drill for our oil. We're on this green kick. So we've kind of taken ourselves out of the mix, right? 6 of the top 10 oil producers are now BRICS aligned, and that bodes well if they want to say, let's back this currency by dollars. Here's the other, not dollars, by oil rather. Here's the other thing, guys. If they decide, listen, why are we still trading our oil in dollars? We don't have to do that anymore. We own the most production as a bloc, not the G7. Why don't we agree to transact and terminate oil sales in something other than the dollar? They could very well do that, which would be, naturally, it'd be a blow to the dollar, right? No doubt about it. Now, in the videos that we've done here, talking about the BRICS, one of their Achilles heels has been the fact that they're not all, peaches and cream. They do have some issues between the members. Chief among them are territorial disputes between China and India and China and Russia. Remember, China and Russia, they're not eye to eye on Vladivostok, all right? Now, even though that's the case, they are a little bit more chill about it than the territorial disputes they're having with India. But China and India look like they recognize that, look, this isn't good for business. We need to talk about this. And we mentioned in one of the last videos we did on the BRICS, we mentioned that one of the things they needed to do was to get beyond these territorial disputes between their members if they were going to have any chance to make a serious go at this bloc. And it looks like they're doing just that. President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi over in India agreed to de-escalate tensions on disputed border at BRICS meeting. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi agreed last week to seek a resolution to years of tensions along the Himalayan border area between the two nuclear-armed countries. Indian Foreign Secretary Vinay Quatra stated that Modi had spoken to Xi on the sidelines at the BRICS in Johannesburg. In that meeting they had, Modi highlighted India's concerns about the unresolved issues along the, quote, line of actual control, unquote, which serves as the effective India-China border. The Prime Minister underlined that the maintenance of peace and tranquility in the border areas and observing and respecting the line, they call it the LAC, or the line of actual control, this is essential for the normalization of the India-China relationship. All right, so they're moving toward mending fences here in the interest of economic progress. I've always said, look, America, we need to turn away from this predilection we have toward armed conflict. We lead with that. So much so that we reported about this in the last video on BRICS, we are making overtures to India. They're military overtures, saying we'll build this joint naval base with you. But how important will that be if the BRICS alliance says, look, we are far less interested in martial conflict than we are in making money? All right. It seems that American foreign policy and domestic as well has lost sight of that. And we still want to make war, not dollars. OK, he added that, well, what was added was the two leaders had agreed to direct the relevant officials, both Xi and Modi agreed to direct the relevant officials to intensify efforts at expeditious disengagement and de-escalation. She added that, President Xi added that improved China-India relations are, quote, this is very important, conducive to peace, stability, and development of the world and the region. These guys are serious, man. Okay. Now, again, it's not going to be a light switch. We're not going to wake up one morning and the dollar is worthless. Absolutely not. This is going to be a progression unless we here in the West get serious. But right now we're not. We don't show any signs of getting serious. All right. We're heavy on the green agenda. We want to prosecute that as a just on and off switch. We don't want to progress into an energy transition. Look, guys, I don't care how environmentally conscious you are, how green you are. The fact of the matter is, technologically speaking, right now, windmills and solar panels ain't going to do it. You talk to the CEO of Ford, who tried to drive one of their electric trucks on this multi-state journey. And look, he came away from this like it's not ready for prime time. All right. Got a soldier who made a comment talking about one of their friends who had actually tried to drive through California. Car ran out of juice. Electric car ran out of juice. And they were stuck in, let's just say, transitioning neighborhood, recharging for quite some time. Okay. Now, there's one thing to stop in the bad part of town, jump out, fuel up, and be on your way. All right. It's quite another to sit there for 45 minutes until you get enough juice in that battery. Okay, a lot can happen in 45 minutes. But that being beyond the point here, look, the BRICS, they're serious. Are we over here in the West? Doesn't appear that we are. Do not underestimate them, because if you're in the West, and I know we got a lot of viewers from all over the world, but if you're in the West, specifically the United States, again, as I said to you before, we run the risk of having fewer transactions denominated in dollars and having the central banks around the world hold fewer dollar reserves. They're doing a lot with gold, right? Every ounce of gold you buy, that's a U.S. Treasury you're not buying. So that exploded out into the future can result in higher inflation and, of course, higher taxation. All right, guys. So, look, check out that BRICS video we did. Understand the full context of that. Watch that video. And, guys, I'll talk to you soon.